What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadski, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. Now, in this particular video, we're not going to be talking about any new characters that are coming out, but what we're going to be talking about is the updates for level limit break for some of our current characters that we have, because these were characters we never anticipated to be getting a level limit break at this current point in time. So this was a pleasant surprise when the data download came in, and we saw a little bit of an update for some of the units, so we'll be talking about them. Of course, with the introduction of the brand new SUGO Fest being data downloaded into the game, a lot of people have been diving into this info, and I'm really happy to talk about some of the stuff that has actually been revealed in this little data download. So let's go ahead and jump into it. I've put all the characters that are receiving level limit breaks right here on screen for you. So we have PSY Yamato as well as INT Yamato, which we'll talk about in a moment. We also have Strength Oden and then Quick Final Tap Luffy. It is interesting though, because the one kind of standout and the fact that, you know, Dex Super Tandem Luffy received a super evolution. A lot of people were like, you know, what about Strength Final Tap Kid? Like, it doesn't make sense that he doesn't have level limit break, he doesn't have super evolution yet. People are wondering, is he ever going to get a buff? The fact that he has not received any changes up until this point leads me to believe that they've already kind of planned that he's going to be getting an update at some time in the future, whether it be next month. If it's not next month, it might be whenever we get another Super SUGO Fest. It might literally just have to wait until the end of the year. We'll have to wait and see. But the fact that Quick Final Tap Luffy and Dex Final Tap Law also have super evolutions, we need that unit to get a buff at some point in time. Let's start things off though. So as I said, these characters are all getting level limit breaks, so it's going to change the way that we use these units moving forward. Let's go ahead and start talking about them. So let's have a look at this Yamato. The captain ability has changed. This is INT Yamato, giving buffs to Int, Striker, and Driven, 5 times attack, 1.3 health, 5.25 times attack with a Wano slot, and it also reduces 10 turns of bind, so most of this is still the same, just with slightly higher numbers. It boosts the chain multiplier growth rate by 1.2 when you're 50% or below, which is a big drawback, 20% damage reduction as well, and tapping on this character with a Wano slot will further increase your crew's multiplicative chain buffs by 0.2. So that is a new addition to the captain ability. Just a little bit of a nice touch, honestly, but the captain ability didn't really need much of a change. Aside from like multiplier numbers, the captain ability was fine the way it was, to be quite honest. But the fact you have to be at low HP to get the chain buff does kind of suck, honestly. I wonder if the super type has changed. Locks the crew slots for 1 turn, boosts the chain multiplier by 1.25. I don't remember this being on the kit exactly, but 1.25 chain multiplicative buff in the super type, and then int become super int. That's a pretty good super type, honestly. You get the ore block, which makes sense with this character. So the special ability, you get the 20% health cut, so damage dealing special is obviously good. It will go ahead and give -1 turn of cooldown to your crewmates, which is a new addition. Increases enemies' damage taken by 2.25 for 1 turn, ignoring immunity to status effects. That's really freaking good. 2.25 increased damage through immunity is so strong. And then the fact that it just goes through immunity is just incredible. It just works well with so many units. Makes it easier to land perfects for 1 turn. You get a 1.7 chain addition for 1 turn. And then block slots are changed into Wano slots. So that's pretty good. This is a good special right here, especially when you have a look at the crewmate ability. This character cannot be blown away and reduces this character's special reverse by 5 turns. So if this character is your crewmate, you can still use it to kind of deal with special reverse mechanics, as it resists the reverse, it gives cooldown to the whole crew. This is a pretty nice buff. Like, they haven't changed a whole lot, but they've just made the character slightly better with the level limit break. But this is also one thing I forgot to mention too. The level limit break, across the board, you get all of the buffs at level limit break 3. So if you have the character maxed out with the final tap, for example, the final tap, super tandem, the rush, whatever it is, it looks like level limit breaks for super SUGOs are going to be all getting their buffs at level 3, which I think is a good change. You know, if you had to have the max investment to get the full buffs for this character, that would really suck. But I kind of like that they've done it that way, so if you've pulled enough to max their potential abilities, then you're good to go, which is a really nice change. Now, the Rumble stuff for all these units have also shifted, so let's have a look. So in Rumble now, Int teammates, 5 attack, 5 speed, so that's nice. And then when you deal damage up to 5 times, Int teammates level 2 attack, okay? So just very offensively focused in Rumble. And then you have her special ability, 28 CT, Targets enemies in a medium range for 100% chance of half stats for 20 seconds. Target 2 enemies, 4.75 times damage. And then targets enemies in a large range for attack down level 8. This is just a very good offensively focused effect. The halving of stats, we already know how good that is. The big damage, 4.75 times damage to 2 targets is immense. There's a big, hefty amount of damage that this character is going to be dealing to 2 separate targets, as well as just inflicting attack down in a large range, just passively a good effect as well. So Yamato is a very, very scary character to watch out for in Pyro Rumble. So the reason why I wanted to talk about the INT Yamato and the PSY Yamato separately is because the character does change drastically when you have a look at the 2 different forms. So we'll have a look at the PSY Yamato now. This character at max level limit break, -1 cooldown as a captain, PSY Free Spirit Striker getting a 5 times buff, 1.3 health, boost their attack further for each perfect strike up to approximately 5.5. And you also add 0.3 to the chain multiplier, which just straight up, this is like a way better captain, much higher damage. You get the big chain, which she already had, and then every time you hit perfect, you just gain more and more attack. So she's a very good offensively focused captain. You still get the 10 turns of bind removal. If you tap on her with a Wano slot, further increases your chain multiplicative buffs by 0.2. So again, very focused around the chain, and she's able to do that very well. Her super type is the exact same as the int form. Matching slots for 1 turn, 1.25 chain multiplicative buff, so that's all well and good, no issues there. The special ability is also really, really neat. So you get 20% health cut, removing 7 turns of special bind. Yamato now removes 7 turns of special bind. What the heck? That's so good. Furthermore, if the captain slot is a Wano slot, when you launch the special, increases all enemies damage taken by 2.5 for 2 turns, and increases all enemies damage taken by 2 times for 2 turns, ignoring immunity to status effects. So that's interesting, right? If the captain slot is Wano, and you launch the special, you get 2.5 times increased damage taken for 2 turns, but then it also says, increases all enemies damage taken by 2 times for 2 turns, ignoring immunity to status effects. So, interesting. So, I don't... The way that it's worded, it doesn't... I don't know if the 2.5 times increased damage taken goes through immunity. I assume it does, but I don't know. It's a bit weird. But we know that beforehand, like, you didn't need any specific slot to get increased damage taken. It was just straight up 1.75 increased damage taken. So now it just might be, you know, 2 times increased damage taken through immunity, and then potentially up to 2.5 if they don't have full immunity. It's weird. It's a bit of a weird wording. I could be wrong here. I could just be like misreading it, but it's better either way. It's just better than the base form. It then says after that makes it easy to land perfects for 2 turns, boost the chain by 2.0, which is very significant for 2 turns, and then changes block and matching slots into Wano slots. So it's just straight up better, right? The big thing there, obviously, is the 7-turn removal of Special Bind. And of course, as a crewmate, she does have the ability to resist Blow Away and resist Special Bind. So I love that. Yamato is just way better in almost every conceivable way. Of course, she gets all of her buffs at level limit break 3. And we can have a look at her Rumble ability too. So in Rumble, her PSY-type teammates attack 5, speed 5 when you deal damage up to 5 times. PSY teammates get level 2 attack buff, so again, very similar to the INT one. And then this special ability targets enemies in a medium range, 100% chance of halving of stats for 20 seconds. 2 enemies are hit with 5.2 times her attack. That is so much damage, dude. 5.2 times. And then targets enemies in a large range for a level 10 attack down for 15 seconds. It's just better. The special is better in every way compared to the INT form, so it's fine. Like, even the INT form was good the way that it was, and this is just better, which is wild. So yeah, PSY teams are going to absolutely love having this Yamato join their team. Evading action bind, INT damage reduction by 40% is actually very, very significant. So that is the breakdown of Yamato. Let me know your opinions on this one. I think it's a very, very good change for the character. Next on the list is Strength Oden. He is going to be receiving a level limit break. Now, I'm not really a big fan of what they've done with this guy. I mean, I think that they could have done a little better. I was kind of hoping he was going to have some really good utility focused stuff, but unfortunately, they've just kind of made him just do more damage, which is interesting. We have a look at this captain ability. Strength, Slasher, Free Spirit, get -1 cooldown. You get a full, this is boosts cruise attack. So this is, the cooldown is only for Strength, Slasher, Free Spirit, but the attack and HP buff is for all characters. 5.5 attack, 1.5 health. Boost their attack by 6 times if they have a Wano slot. That's absurd. This character now becoming a 6 times captain. Changes Dex and Tandem slots into Wano slots. So that's a bit of an issue that he can't abuse Tandem slots for Super Tandem stuff. That does kind of hurt, honestly. Furthermore, it does state that if you tap on this character with a Wano slot, further increase your base attack buffs by 750. That's pretty significant as well. So just doing more damage is never a bad thing. The super type effect, your top row gets 1000 base attack, so if you tap on this character, it will become 1750. Changes the top row slots into Wano, and then strength becomes super strength. No real major changes there. Then the special ability, this is an interesting effect that they've added here. So this is the one piece of utility that he actually did receive. Reduces all damage reduction from certain slot effects on the enemy by 6 turns. So if an enemy says they take less damage from type slots, for example, this removes that by 6 turns. We saw that Atlas, the Vegapunk legend, come out earlier last month, and she had the ability to do that as well. So this is now the second character that is able to remove that. It also makes strength slots become Wano slots for 2 turns, or for 3 turns, and then changes crew's matching slots and block slots into strength. So basically, if you have a block or a matching slot when you launch his special, it becomes a Wano slot, and then boost strength, Slasher, and Free Spirit character slot effects by 3 times for 2 turns, big damage, and then boost the attack of the next final tap by a strength, Slasher, or Free Spirit by 25%. So they haven't really done a lot here. It's just more damage. That's literally all it is. As I said, the damage reduction based on your slot, removing that, that's a nice little key piece of utility. It's just very uncommon, so I don't know how much this is going to see play because of that. And then you have a look at his crewmate abilities. I think this is relatively similar. Reduces his own cooldown by 1 every time another Slasher or Free Spirit uses a special. That's pretty neat. And then strength slots are going to be matching it to the whole crew. I believe the support effect is also still the same. It is. And then his Rumble stuff. So his Rumble stuff did get a slight buff. Slashers get a special CT up level 5 and attack level 6. Strength teammates, 6 health, 6 speed. So pretty good overall. Good for slashers, good for strength, good for whatever you want. And then his special ability, which we already know how good it was, but now they've updated it a little bit more. 3000 damage to all enemies. Targets enemies in a large horizontal range for a 3 times damage. That's big damage. And then slashers get level 8 attack buff for 20 seconds. Just very good offensively. We already know how good slashers are, and this just makes slashers just that tiny little bit better. So yeah, you absolutely love to see it avoiding action bind, more damage reduction versus Dex characters. So I wish they did a little bit more for Oden, for example. Like, I don't know what they could have done specifically, but I would have loved to have seen another key piece of utility for this guy. Instead, they just decided to make him solely focused around just doing more damage. So I don't think that's going to automatically make him see more play in One Piece Treasure Cruise. Maybe in Rumble, for example, but in normal content, there's a lot of other characters I would rather use over a character such as this. And then the final character that we're going to wrap up the video here with is going to be the Quick Final Tap Luffy. I've pulled so many copies of this character. I'm sick to death of pulling this unit, so I'm glad to see that he's actually receiving a little bit of an update here. So once again, he gets his level limit break buffs at level 3, and his captain ability has changed now. So you get -2 turns of cooldown to Quick Free Spirit Fighter, 5.5 times attack, and then boost their attack by 5.75, so long as that it's not a type slot, as it mentions here. So it basically means if it's a Tandem, Recovery, Wano, just anything that isn't Strength, Dex, Psi, Int, Dex, whatever it is. So as long as it's not one of the normal type slots, you get the big buff of 5.75. You get a HP boost of 1.3, boost crew's chance of landing Recovery Tandem slots, so it gives you a higher chance at landing 5.75 times attack. Makes the crew's recovery and tandem slots matching, allows the crew to attend recovery slots with perfects, change the crew's slots to recovery at the start of battle 2. That is brand new, so that's interesting. So as soon as you hit the second stage, you get a full board of recovery slots. If he has a certain mechanic that is focused around consuming recovery slots, which I think he actually does, then this is going to help out significantly in that regard. If you tap on him with a recovery or a Wano slot, further increase the effect of your chain additions by 0.75. That's a pretty big buff as well. Okay, so his captain ability is quite good actually. This is a very good captain, but this was one of the issues that Luffy had previously, is that Luffy is kind of just solely focused around doing damage, very similar to Strength Oden. Solely like Unga Bunga, do lots of damage. Utility wasn't one of his key things. So if he has utility, that's really going to help him out. His super type, you need any one of the Straw Hats, or you can use Kid, Law, Yamato, or Momo, and it reduces cooldowns of quick free spirit fighters by 1, changes type slots to recovery, and then you get a 1.5 chain addition for 1 turn. So this works perfectly with his captain. You get a full board of recovery slots. If you tap on him with a recovery slot, your chain additions are buffed by 0.75. You already have a 1.5 chain boost here, so the chain boost becomes 2.25 when you tap on him with a recovery slot. That seems a little absurd. This seems very, very good. So I like all those combos so far. And then his special ability does damage to all enemies. You apply an ignited status to all enemies, ignoring immunity to status effects for 2 turns. And the ignited status does do 100 times of the enemy's attack. That's a pretty big change, and it does make sense. He's using Red Rock in his special animation, and making that now inflict the ignited status thematically makes sense, okay? Reduces burn and slot bind by 7 turns. So he does have a piece of utility, but it's pretty uncommon utility that you're going to need. Burn removal is actually pretty good. Slot bind removal, a bit of a weird choice, because there's not too many times you specifically need to remove slot bind. Bit of a weird choice. Quick, free spirit and fighters get 3 times attack for 2 turns, and then boost the top row character's base attack by 2,000 for 2 turns. That seems pretty good. If the crew already has an attack buff when you launch the special, quick free spirit fighters get a 3 times all boost for 2 turns. And here, this is what I was talking about. If 12 or more recovery or tandem slots have been consumed, reduce his own cooldown by 12 turns. And of course, with expansion, he goes down to 12 turns, meaning that if you consume the 12 recovery slots, then you allow yourself to double special with this kit, which is kind of sick, which allows you to remove 7 turns, or it'd be 14 turns of burn and slot bind. But then the big thing of 3 times attack, 3 times all boost to quick free spirit and fighter characters, with the massive chain boost that he also provides. So this character potentially could provide you with attack, orb, and chain, full board of slots just by himself, right? So that does seem pretty good, but again, he's kind of just solely focused around doing damage. So I don't know how much play this character is going to see just because of that alone. Characters these days typically need a lot of utility to actually get through content. So for those reasons, I don't think it's a great buff, but it's just buffs across the board to make him stronger in content. And of course, he does have his Rumble kit, which gives buffs to Quick, giving them 6 health, and then gives himself 6 HP further. When teammate is defeated, gives himself level 5 attack buff, and then when the remaining time is 70 seconds or less, Quick teammates speed up level 7, defense level 6. This is okay. I mean, it's not the best Rumble ability ever. His special ability, I know it does do a lot of damage. It says targets quick teammates for attack up level 8, and then targets enemies in a large range for 3.2 damage. There's a pretty good potential for big damage there. And then 3 quick type teammates get a 100% chance of haste. This does have uses for sure, but it doesn't reduce their cooldown, so you can still randomly just target quick allies that don't have their specials ready to go, put them to the top of the order, which can kind of screw up your team comp. So I don't think this is that great. He does have big damage reduction from strength and removes special bind on himself, but it's not the greatest buff ever. I'm a little disappointed with what they did with Luffy and Oden. Like, yes, they just do a lot of damage, but it's not significant enough of a change. I really like what they did with Yamato, though, with both of the Yamatos. They've not only given them more damage, but they've actually given them some kind of key pieces of utility. A little bit of, special reverse resistance stuff with INT Yamato, but PSY Yamato getting special bind removal, and it's not only just special bind removal, it's 7 turns of it as well. Makes this character way, way better. And also, allowing their increased damage taken to go through immunity is a big deal. So I think I'm a pretty big fan of the Yamato buffs. But let me know your thoughts and opinions about this one down below in the comment section. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. On that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.